to Medicine, Motherhood, and Missions, the podcast where we dive deep into our faith on this incredible journey of balancing a life dedicated to healing, nurturing, and giving back. I'm Johanna, your host, and each time we meet, we'll explore the stories of remarkable individuals who are PAs, doctors, and professionals, and mission-driven changemakers, from the halls of our hospitals to the hearts of our homes, and into the communities we serve. Join us as we uncover the challenges, triumphs, and everything in between through the lens of our shared faith in Christ. Whether you're a healthcare professional, a parent, or someone passionate about making a difference for God's glory, this podcast is for you. So grab a cup of coffee or tea, settle in, and get ready to be inspired by real-life stories of resilience, compassion, and dedication, all rooted in faith. Hi, friends. I'm so excited to speak with you this evening. Actually, it's evening, so I'm here with Danielle Stoltz. And fun fact is that we actually went to Oral Roberts University together way back when. We had known of each other, but although we weren't really fully connected, but we definitely have kept in touch somehow through social media. And Danielle Stoltz is just an amazing person. She has developed her own and created her own business, Danielle Stoltz Creative Media. She was involved in journalism. I remember she was very involved with that back at ORU, and communications, publications, everything. She is now helping others find their voice on social media. And she just has a way of storytelling because of her history in journalism that allows others to find their voice. And I'm so excited to talk with her. She also has a beautiful family, husband, and 3 adorable children that she sometimes showcases on her social media sites. And they're so super cute. And thank you so much, Danielle, for joining me today. I'm so excited.
You bet. I was so excited. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. And I'm so glad that we can connect, from ORU and, years and years later. It's such a special thing.
Yeah, I love social media for that reason, because you can connect with people and stay in touch and feel like you're still besties, even though life is passed on.
I know, right? And so... tell us a little bit about your journey in your work to the moment you started your business. How was it? How did it go? What was that pivotal moment that made that decision finalized in your mind to start?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I went to ORU and I studied print journalism. And back in the early 2000s, it seemed like such a great career path for me. I was so excited about working in print news and eventually working in magazines. And so I studied print journalism and actually did work in newspaper for a while. Worked as a news editor in both the Dallas area and then in Tulsa, and then made the shift to communications. I worked in broadcast for a little bit at a news station, and then became a communications director. And then when it came time to start my family, me and my husband, we knew just like the flexibility of having someone at home would be great. But I knew that I really wanted to pursue my career. That's been a big part of me since the beginning. I knew writing, I knew storytelling was such a passion of mine. And so we really talked, and I decided to start my own business. And honestly, I didn't know what I was doing. I thought I was going to be doing some freelance work while my kids were at home and then go back to working full time. But a career in business really evolved out of doing a few freelance jobs here and there. And next thing I knew, people are asking me to be a part of their social media. And I'd had a history of that from my previous positions. One thing that I noticed about journalism is that it evolved very quickly. Facebook used to just be for college students. And then next thing you knew, businesses were having Facebooks, and your mom and your dad had a Facebook account. And so it just changed so quickly. And I noticed that journalism also included social media. And before I actually made the shift to working for myself, I went and got my master's in new media journalism and learned all
Mm-hmm.
about how I could storytell, not just through my writing, but through video, through
Mm-hmm.
photos, through social media, through the different forms of media that we have out there. And so when it came to helping others with social media, it just became a natural fit because I'd studied it and done it for so
Mm-hmm.
long. And so I honestly didn't know what I was doing. I just knew I'm stepping out here, and God really connected me with great business owners and women that knew what they were doing and gave me advice. And quickly, I um, ended up connecting with a publisher and with authors. And that was my niche for quite a while, where I was really helping authors to tell their story beyond their
Mm-hmm.
book. It's really easy for you to kind of stick to that tangible book that you have,
Mm-hmm.
but realizing that there's so much more to the author and who they are is so important for
Mm-hmm.
you to talk about and tell your audience and connect with your audience. And so I worked with publishers and authors, and here recently, I've made the shift to also serving business owners and really anyone that feels overwhelmed by social media. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's been kind of the journey. I think the big shift for me was realizing that I could do this, something that was like kind of scary, and quitting my 9 to 5 and coming home to start working and not really knowing what that looked like, and not being like, this is just a side hustle. I really knew that I was going to be pursuing something big, but didn't really know what it was. And so it was really just
Mm-hmm.
trusting God, and really even kind of trusting my gut that I knew what I was
Mm-hmm.
doing, and just kind of taking bold, audacious steps in the direction that I wanted to go.
Yeah, I love that. There's so many things in there. There's everything from like connection and community and mentorship, where I see also that, on your socials, you post that a lot, how you have developed that connection and community to help you grow in your business and also keep you accountable. And then another thing you mentioned was going from print to new media.
Yeah.
And I wanted to quickly discuss that. Like, how was that? And how do you feel like the industry has changed with, going towards more social media for, everyone in general, like allowing our voices to be heard versus just news, because you were in news journalism and
Yeah.
things. How did that feel for you?
Yeah, it's changed so much, and it's changed so quickly when you think about like every year there's something that's being added, and you kind of feel like, 4 5 years ago, TikTok wasn't nearly as big as it is now, or
Mm-hmm.
10 years ago, Instagram wasn't as big. Facebook was really predominant. And I realized like
Mm-hmm.
going back to the shift from print to even like thinking communications and broadcasts and a new media journalism. I've always
Mm-hmm.
been the kind of person that likes to learn and to
Mm-hmm.
adapt. I don't know if I'm necessarily an early adopter, but I am
Mm-hmm.
aware of when things are kind of
Yeah.
dying or they're slowing down.
Mm-hmm.
And I won't say dying, but when I felt like
Mm-hmm.
things were slowing down, I knew it was time to shift. And that's something that
Mm-hmm.
I've always liked to do. Even
Mm-hmm.
like, I think like sometimes when I was doing a sport or a hobby where I was like, okay, I'm losing interest and not necessarily bored, but knowing that
Mm-hmm.
like I had spent my time doing what I was supposed to do, and this time is done. And I kind of felt like that with newspaper, where I love to write, but I was like, there's something more to the storytelling
Mm-hmm.
that I'm supposed to be doing. And seeing other newspapers or seeing other forms of media that were
Mm-hmm.
evolving, I was kind of chasing that and wanted to see what other people were doing. And it's been
Mm-hmm.
really great for business, because that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of something you have to do, not necessarily comparison, but looking and evolving and really observing and seeing what people are doing well and figuring
Mm-hmm.
out, where do I need to shift? And I think that
Mm-hmm.
that's the lesson that I've learned in business, is that you kind of have to keep your feelers out and see what people are doing,
Mm-hmm.
see what's trending, and learn, and
Mm-hmm.
take baby steps, and sometimes take like big steps and open up an account and start a
Mm-hmm.
TikTok, start an email
Yeah.
list, build a website, and see how it does for you. And I think that that's
Mhm.
the real key of growing in your business is being willing to adapt and shift when you see that the times are changing.
Yeah, that's very important. But it's so hard sometimes for business owners to do that
Yeah.
because they feel like overwhelmed, maybe sometimes just trying to figure out the actual business itself. And they don't have time to kind of like go in and see, like, okay, maybe I need to go onto Threads or,
Yes,
this next
exactly.
new social media invention, and
Yeah.
it's so hard to keep up on trends and, new things that are constantly popping up. And even just within the social media types itself, there's so many trends within those that, change constantly. It's, how do we keep up with that?
Yeah. Well, I think that while I did just say, paying attention to trends and adapting when you see that it's time to adapt, I do also think that there's something to be said about knowing when it's good, knowing that, for
Mm-hmm.
me, I am primarily on Instagram, and that's because that's where I
Mm-hmm.
have time to invest in. And that's
Mm-hmm.
where the majority of my audience is. And so a lot of times that's where my conversations are mainly. Now I am on
Mm-hmm.
just about every platform. I have an email list, I have a website,
Yeah.
but when I have extra time, I'm pouring it into those relationships that I have there. And so that's just an
Mm-hmm.
example of um, just because something's hot, just because something's trending, doesn't mean you go and
Mm-hmm.
pour all your energy into it. I think it's important
Mm-hmm.
for you to have a feel of what other people in your industry are doing. But at the end of the day, I think it's important for you to be aware of what is my capacity. We go
Mm-hmm.
to burnout so quickly with trying to do everything on our
Too much.
to-do list every single
Yeah.
day. And I think it's
Mm-hmm.
important for you as a business owner to think, what are my priorities right now? What do I have in front of me that I have to get done today? And even figuring out methods of ways to automate and ways to bring in help and bring in assistance so that you do have the opportunity to work in your business. Um, a lot of times you are just going, 90 miles an hour and all these different directions. And you realize you're like, there are new opportunities that I would love to pursue in my business or things I'd like to try out, but I don't even have the capacity. So, like today,
Mm-hmm.
I hired someone just to work with me for 3 hours, and they
Mm-hmm.
helped me automate like things that were taking me probably 5 to 6 hours a week. She helped me to
Mm-hmm.
automate. And there are
Oh,
programs
wow.
out there where I just invested like, $20 and now those things are off my plate. And so I think that that
Right.
is the point that we have to think is where can I get help? Where can I get that
Mm-hmm.
assistance? What does my budget allow for me to be able to delegate and to give
Mm-hmm.
away so that I
Yeah.
don't feel burnt out and I don't feel like I'm not able
Mm-hmm.
to really grow my business and let it thrive the way it's supposed to.
Yeah. That's very important too. Yeah. Delegation and finding those ways to take those things off the plate. Yeah. Because
Absolutely.
there are so many things that busy work that we get so caught
For
up in,
sure.
and then we lose sight of the vision. And so, and then what do you tell clients though who have like imposter syndrome? Because, starting a business, getting on the social medias, getting on the, platforms, but then you get on those places and you are like, wow, there's like a million other businesses who do the same thing I'm trying to do.
Exactly.
Like, how do we deal with that imposter syndrome?
Oh, I think imposter syndrome is so funny because we have this big confidence and boldness to step out and start a business or to write a book or
Mm-hmm.
to do the hard thing. And then we get there and
Uh-huh.
realize, oh my gosh, there's hundreds or thousands or millions of people that are doing the exact same thing that I'm doing. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the kind of catch 22 of social media is having access to so many different people. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that what I have learned to do is to silence the things that in my life that cause comparison. Comparison is a lot of
Mm-hmm.
times the root cause of imposter
Mm-hmm.
syndrome. Is I feel like an
Mm-hmm.
imposter because I'm looking at the person that's been doing this for 15 more years than I have, and they're killing it. Or
Mm-hmm.
you see someone that
Mm-hmm.
looks like they're killing it, and they just started, and you're like, how am I not doing it? And so you start
Mm-hmm.
comparing yourself to other
Mm-hmm.
people, and then all of a sudden you start feeling small or like I'm not good enough. And that negative talk is really what causes us to stop posting, stop sending that email, stop showing up the way we're supposed to in our business. And so I think that the way that we fight imposter syndrome is to fight that comparison and silence it. If I'm following accounts that aren't inspiring me, but making me feel lesser about myself, I sometimes will unfollow them. And maybe it's just temporarily. And if I'm noticing that like every account is causing me to feel imposter syndrome, then I kind of realize it's an internal thing. And so
Yeah.
having people around you that are encouraging, whether that's your family or just a work community or a business community, having mentors and peers that understand what it's like to have those insecurities as a business owner because they're natural. Having those
Yeah.
conversations, I think, has really helped me to kind of have that moment where I can say, you know what, I am really good at what I'm doing. I am an expert in my field. I am killing it. Like maybe that person is showing up a little bit more because they aren't married or they don't have 3 kids that are, in elementary school, or maybe they are at a different place where they're able to hire people. So comparing my story to theirs is really unfair because
Yeah.
I'm on a journey that's going somewhere completely different, even though we might be selling what looks like the exact same thing or talking about the exact same thing. No one can tell your story the way you can. No one can teach the way you can. No one can lead the way you can. And you have to have confidence in that. Or you might need to look at another career because there's going to be some comparison and there's going to be some insecurities. But you have to be able to have that confidence to shut down the negative talk and to realize like you are more than capable. You are wildly capable, and move forward with that gusto and tenacity that you know that's inside of you.
Yeah. And I think that can be for anyone in any career,
Absolutely.
anywhere is, we all get discouraged at times, whatever we may be doing, whether it is comparison or how we're feeling like we're performing or, internalizing too much,
Yeah.
all the negativity. And so we definitely have to find ways to encourage ourselves and change our mindset because it's so easy. And I mean, it's just like, bringing in, our Christian faith into it.
Absolutely.
Is that daily renewal of our mind that is necessary just in our Christian walk with the Lord in the same way, just in business, in health and medicine and whatever career that we're walking in. It's constantly having to remind ourselves of the strengths that we have inside of us, our faith in God. If we have that, that's a huge part of it too. And yeah, as you said, I love how you listed all of that in regards to comparison, just not focusing on those things, but going after things with tenacity and having that confidence, which takes effort and time to change our mind to think that way. Yeah. Even though we all face it at one point or the other,
Absolutely.
we just have to constantly encourage ourselves. And so, you were mentioning, or we all have that unique voice. We all have a unique strength. We all have a unique way of doing things. And so how do we find our voice or our way to showcase our voice in this cluttered social environment?
I think that practice makes perfect. And that feels scary when you've got a business that you've invested in. But I think that you really don't know how to do it until you do it. Even if you invest in all the coaching and all the training, until you actually put yourself out there and try to go live on Facebook or start a Facebook group or start posting reels, or if you're wanting to get on TikTok, whatever it is, I think that finding your voice comes with practice. And, everything isn't going to be perfectly curated the first time. Sometimes you're going to put out a graphic and you're like, that doesn't really feel like me. Or show up live on Instagram and it feels awkward and, you're saying all the things that you don't want to say, or you're tongue tied. But
Yeah,
when are you going to learn how to do that? Like it
exactly.
takes time and practice. And I always like to start out with things that are small. So start out with stories. I love stories on Instagram and
Mhm.
Facebook because they disappear after 24 hours. So if I do a video on Instagram and I'm talking and it feels awkward, I post it anyways and I leave it there because for 24 hours it's going to be there and we're going to see how it goes and how people respond to it. And
Mhm.
then it's gone after 24 hours. And it's a great feeling because I've got a practice rep in.
Right.
A group that I connect with talks a lot about getting your rep in, and every rep helps you to get stronger. When you think about
Mhm.
exercising, you're not going to
Mhm.
go up there and be able to bench press that weight goal that you have. It's going to take some
Mhm.
practice and take some building up to that. And so I think finding
Mhm.
your voice is baby steps. And it's like, okay, I'm
Mhm.
going to post today. I'm going to share my story. And I think the
Mhm.
more authentic you can be, the better.
Mhm.
Well, I think it's always great to find inspiration from other people and to look at
Mhm.
trends. At the end of the day, don't use the music, that music tone
Mhm.
um, or a graphic or something that doesn't feel like you. I think the more authentic
Mhm.
you can be and the more often you can show up as yourself and tell your story, the easier it is for you
Mhm.
to find your voice um and eventually people will see that light that you are, see the
Mhm.
positivity that you are, and you'll look back a year from now and someone will be like, "Oh yeah, you're the person that always has that great information," or "You're such a great resource," or "You're such an
Mhm.
expert," or "I love the way that you share those scriptures," or "I love the way you share your
Mhm.
heart," because you've been doing it consistently. And you'll look back and you're like, oh, that's my voice. That's who I am. And so it definitely
Mhm.
takes practice. It takes some time. And I think social media feels weird sometimes because everything is contradictory. It's like you're supposed to, what's trending, you're supposed to be learning and it's always changing, but you want to show up
Yeah.
consistently and you want to show up as yourself.
Mhm.
But I think um, the more that you can just be authentic to who you are,
Mhm.
that's going to stay consistent no matter what. That's going to stay the same no matter what trend or platform you're using.
Mhm. Yeah. And I think like the hard part is finding that authenticity
Yeah.
because we feel like we need to showcase it one way
Hmm.
or by the standard of this person or that thing that we've seen or this other business that we see. And so we tend to sometimes get lost in the weeds because we're focusing on what this business did well or that business did well or this person did well versus just organically trying to post something
Yeah,
from our heart, so to speak, or like
exactly.
what we really feel about something. But and so that's kind of the hard part,
Yeah.
in a way, of being authentic too,
And yeah,
because you're also putting yourself out there and being
oh,
vulnerable.
absolutely. And that's hard. And that takes practice to not feel
Hmm.
like you are putting yourself out there and people are going to judge you. I think part
Hmm.
of it, the hard part is that being a business owner, being a thought leader, whatever it is that the hard truth is that people may judge you. You may have some trolls out there. You may uh, put yourself out there and get a negative comment. But think worst case scenario, you get a bad
Hmm.
comment, and if it's any truth to it, you learn from it. If it's just someone being a troll and being mean, you can delete it, you can hide it, you can block them. That is also the beautiful thing
Yeah.
about social media. I think
Right.
that when it comes to getting lost on social media, I put myself on, like, kind of set an alarm. Um, I feel that after 10 minutes of quote unquote research, I have shifted
Hmm.
from being a creator to a consumer. And so, what I try to
Right.
do when I'm on social media and I'm scrolling and looking for information is I want to be a
Hmm.
creator. So, I'm looking for inspiration. I am looking
Hmm.
for, not just like comparing and being like, oh, their reel is so much better than mine, or oh, their
Hmm.
caption is just awesome. I wish I could write it like that. I'm looking
Hmm.
for points that I can take. I'm looking for graphics that look great for me and I'm screenshotting or I'm
Hmm.
saving. I'm looking for reels and I love the way that they show up confidently and that they're outside or they're doing it in their car or they've got a very
Hmm.
clean background, whatever it is that inspires
Hmm.
me. So I take about 10 minutes and I'm like making notes. And then I realize
Hmm.
after about 10 minutes, it's really easy that you're like, laughing at a post and you're like scrolling, and now it's become like that mindless, like, I'm the consumer. I am here for
Yeah.
entertainment. I am here
Mm-hmm.
just to hear what in the world is, like whatever you're
Right.
posting. And
Yeah.
so setting that
Mm-hmm.
alarm for me helps me to
Mm-hmm.
then move to, okay, I've gained a lot of insight of things and inspiration
Mm-hmm.
that I want. Now let's go and create. And there are
Mm-hmm.
so many
Mm-hmm.
resources out there for you to learn to create your own, that you don't always have to hire someone. So taking that 10 minutes to consume and then 30 minutes
Mm-hmm.
to create, I'm sorry, forgive me,
Mm-hmm.
10 minutes to be inspired and to
Uh-huh.
find that insight and then to go and create is
Mm-hmm.
really a great practice to have, that you spend 40 minutes total on social media. And maybe you're
Mm-hmm.
posting just once from that 40 minutes, but you've got an actual content that you can actually post and use. And then you're done and you can go on with your next
Mm-hmm.
task, but kind of thinking about, I'm going to scroll and I'm going to find insight and growth, and then I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
create based on what I just found, that inspiration. I think that that is really key to helping you
Mm-hmm.
to actually put into action what you've been consuming and what you've been
Mm-hmm.
seeing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And um I just wanted to like go back to how you found your group of mentors
Mhm.
and fellow creators and community, and how did you go about that? How did that happen? How do you intentionally find those people?
So part of it, I found people online and I found people in person. For
Mm-hmm.
me, the easiest way was for me to start looking at co working places.
Mm-hmm.
I work from home, I have an office in my home, but I am an
Mm-hmm.
extrovert. I love to be around people. I am
Yeah.
recharged being around people.
Uh-huh.
If you ask me what I want to do on a Friday night, I want to go
Mm-hmm.
out and I want to be with my family and I want to hang out with
Mm-hmm.
people and do things. And I know
Yeah.
for some people that's exhausting, but I realize for me, when I'm working at
Mm-hmm.
home, I still needed coworkers. And so
Yeah.
I went and found a co-working space that was just for women. And it ended up being such a great and uplifting place for me to be, because I
Mm-hmm.
found not only people for me to kind of be around and recharge, but also
Mm-hmm.
people that were in the same situation that I am in, or people that have been where I have been. And so it was this
Mm-hmm.
great group of peers and mentors that I was able to learn from and collaborate with and even like, commiserate with. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so that was really great. And then some of it may feel a little awkward, but some of my closest like business um, I don't necessarily know that they're friends, but business influencers that I
Uh-huh.
connected with, um, they have been on Instagram. They're people that I
Mm-hmm.
message. They're people that I comment on
Mm-hmm.
their posts all the time, because I
Mm-hmm.
love their comment and they inspire me.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's vice versa, but I'm sure that there are people that feel the same way about me that I don't even realize.
Yeah.
But I have connected with them. They'll message me. They will post on my content as well. And while
Mm-hmm.
I know that it's not as sustainable as a true relationship that I have in person, there are so many
Mm-hmm.
relationships where I have on social media where people are cheering me on and I post something
Mm-hmm.
and I've never met this person in real life, but
Yeah.
they are liking my post. And if I
Mm-hmm.
say it's my birthday, they're saying happy birthday and wishing me my best year. Or if I'm launching a new product or a new service, they're saying this is a great
Yeah.
concept. And that's engagement that I need for my post. And so it's really cool to have this kind of organic core group on social
Yeah.
media that I know that I'm learning from, as well as they're
Mm-hmm.
cheering me on. And I think that that's just such a cool experience. And then it's really interesting how there's been people that I've connected with locally
Mm-hmm.
on social media before I ever met them in person. And there is a little bit of a connection when we meet in person because we've already been cheering
Mm-hmm.
each other online. And
Yeah.
so it may seem awkward at first, but find those people that you're
Mm-hmm.
like, this will be a great mentor. This person, I love their content. Send them a message. Let them know. Most people need that kind of
Mm-hmm.
encouragement. As we talked about,
Mm-hmm.
imposter syndrome is real and we are all feeling it. Even if you think
Yeah.
someone is just blowing you away,
Mm-hmm.
they need encouragement. And so you
Mm-hmm.
encouraging them, you being a light to them could really be
Mm-hmm.
an authentic relationship that could pay dividends in the long run.
Yeah. That's so true. I know people tend to always knock social media, but even I have found some really amazing people and friends through social media, Instagram and
Yeah.
Facebook, that I've never met, but they are people who are still, kind of encouraging, as you said, just sending messages of positivity. And that's always so nice to see the positive aspects of social media. And it is important to intentionally kind of create and find a group of mentors and people. And I love how you're saying that, just going to someone who you really are inspired by and encouraging them, that can, be a positive thing for them too. And you never know where that may lead to as well for reciprocity of encouragement for yourself too.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's really cool that, this social media can allow for those types of relationship and inspiration for businesses. Because otherwise, you may never meet those people in real life due to their locations, regions, etc. But it's amazing how that distance becomes so much more approachable just because it's on social media.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because even one of my other guests was from Spain, and yet we have been encouraging each other from Instagram and Dr. Lena, the neuroscientist. And so that was so amazing how to keep in touch and make new friends. And so how do you juggle balancing motherhood and work and everything in between?
Oh man, that is a tough one. I feel like the biggest thing that I have to realize is that there's always going to be a pull from one or the other, because work is something I'm actually passionate about. It's not something that I do out of obligation. I love what I am building as my job, and it's exciting to be a business owner. And so sometimes when I'm with my kids, I'm thinking about work. And sometimes when I'm with my work, at work, I'm thinking about my kids. A lot of times when I'm at work, I'm thinking about my kids. And I used to think that was such like things are imbalanced and I feel guilty. And I think that just means that you're passionate about both. And so when I was able to just embrace that and realize that's a part of who I am, that I'm going to get calls about my kids and have to stop a meeting because someone's sick at school, and that I sometimes have my laptop open on the kitchen counter. It's okay. That's kind of the life that I'm building. But it also means that sometimes, because I have my laptop open on my kitchen counter, means that I can take my kids to the zoo on a random day throughout the summer, or that I can take a vacation in the middle of the week and not have to ask anyone if I can take PTO. It means that I get to leave a meeting, or me leave in the middle of the day to pick up my kids early from school, or it means that sometimes I can make some flexibility within my day and work in the evening or work early in the morning so that I can get all my work done. And so I think that that flexibility that I've created in my business helps me to keep things balanced. And I think at the end of the day, the biggest thing is just to make sure that your kids kind of understand what mommy's doing. And that's one of the conversations that I constantly have with my girls, is like letting them know, like, hey, I'm working right now, but what's really cool is that, like, unlike my husband who has to leave and go to work and come home, I'm getting to work right now, and then I'm able to take a break and play with you, or take a break and let's go out, go for a walk. And so that they're aware and having that conversation, so that they don't think, oh, mommy's always on her laptop, mommy's always on her phone, mommy doesn't care about us, because we kind of can create that narrative in our head where it's just a 7-year-old just wants to know, when are we going to get to play? Hey, when is lunch? When do I get to hang out? But having the conversation of letting them know, I'm taking a little break right now so that I can get some work done. But what work means for us, that means a Target run later on, even them just being aware of what I'm doing and that entrepreneur journey. Maybe that's, making
Mm-hmm.
something exciting in them, or at the very least, they're
Yeah.
learning that what I'm doing is allowing flexibility and, a target run
Mm-hmm.
later for on an elementary level at the lowest
Yeah.
level, but of what
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing, but still just having that
Right.
conversation with them takes away that
Mm-hmm.
guilt of them
Yeah.
thinking they think mom's on their phone all the time or mom's doing something wrong.
Right.
So I've just been able to
Mm-hmm.
talk to them and let them know this is what I'm
Mm-hmm.
doing. This is why I'm on my phone. This is why I have my
Mm-hmm.
laptop open. And honestly, as my kids are getting older, I realize it's something they
Mm-hmm.
respect because it's something I've been
Mm-hmm.
telling that I've been doing since they were little. And so I think that the balance is really communicating with your kids, communicating with your
Mm-hmm.
spouse, and then just kind of
Mm-hmm.
accepting that this is the life that you're building, that it's not very like
Mm-hmm.
there's not always proportions of this is when I work and this is when
Mm-hmm.
I'm with my kids. Sometimes there are boundaries and sometimes it bleeds
Mm-hmm.
into each other, but
Mm-hmm.
just understanding that that's the way that things are going to go. It kind of helps you to have that like freeing, like release where there's not
Mm-hmm.
the stress that I've got to keep all these things in
Yeah.
compartments. And that's what's
Yeah.
worked really well for me.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for being so honest because I think we all feel that and we don't want to admit it,
Yeah.
but there is that leak
Yeah.
through and things that may bleed through to each other. But as you say, the communication with your children is so vital
Yeah.
because even though I have a little 4-year-old, she's so full of questions and she understands if I
Yeah.
do communicate with her. You just change the level of communication to the age, right? And they will understand and they will love that you're, talking to them and explaining things that they're so inquisitive about, anyways. And so, um, yeah, I just love that perspective and
Yeah.
how you talked about that because everyone wants to say that they, not everyone wants to say they can compartmentalize it, but you sometimes really can't.
No. And most days I
And
can't.
yeah, and so, but we all try our best,
Yes.
no
Yeah.
matter
And I
what.
think that, like, we all
So,
know the cookie cutter answer of how to
yeah,
do it in a perfect
yeah,
best case scenario. But I
uh-huh,
wanted to kind of give you the real and authentic that that's what most days looks like is that some days,
yeah,
like, my husband
hmm
just put the kids to bed while we did this podcast interview. And I
right,
gave them sweet
yeah,
hugs and I told them that I was going to be on a podcast and we could listen to it later instead of feeling
yeah,
guilty that this was the best time
hmm
that worked for me.
yeah,
And so,
right,
again, I just think
hmm
that sometimes it's kind of being raw and honest about it is,
hmm
and realizing that I've got to
yeah,
have a backup plan and a plan C and a
hmm
plan D and a plan E. And that's really
yeah,
what helps you to be able to thrive as a mom and a business owner.
yeah. And having, since, we're married and have our husbands and their support and the
Yes.
communication between them is so vital as well.
Yes,
And
it's huge.
that's what allows both of us to have, all of us to have our careers and
Absolutely.
visions and, goals for life and family is that continued communication and flexibility. And life is full of needs for flexibility and adaptability. Without that, I don't know whether, we can live to a rigid, structured plan always.
Yeah.
Right. Can you tell me 3 things or pieces of advice that you would like to share about faith-filled parenting?
Yes. I feel like the biggest thing is it may seem cliche, but there's nothing cliche about keeping God first in everything. And
Mm,
there are days that I am looking at my to-do list and I'm like, I've got emails and I am behind on things and the kids are, having a morning and didn't sleep well, or, I feel behind from the get go.
mm-hmm,
And there's been times where I just feel overwhelmed and part of me is like, you know what, cancel it. We're not going to school. I'm not going to work, whatever it is. And I will
mm-hmm,
turn on worship and we will pray.
mm-hmm,
We have a little, uh, uh, kind of chant that we created that we found from a
mm-hmm,
friend, Mother Good. us. She's on Instagram, and it just talks about today I will, and it's like make good choices and live a faith-filled life. And it's just I will stop what we're doing and realize let's just confess God's goodness and God's word over our life and in this moment right now. And I sometimes will do that when I'm by myself and I have a hard email to send, and I'm like, Holy Spirit, guide me and give me the words to say. At night, I'm like, I am tired and I know I have work to do, and I do not do well at waking up early in the morning and getting work done. So God, I need some extra energy today as I am and working on this project. And I feel like God will give me advice or give me the direction on what to start first. I think that putting God at the center of every single thing is so important as you are parenting and doing life, like every portion of your life. And I just think that that's so key. I also think that when it comes to parenting, just realizing that no child is too small to start speaking God's word and learning God's word. And finding scriptures, finding devotionals, finding little just portions of scripture for them to start to digest is so key, because just like the word of God is changing my life and it's the center of all that I do, that was a process for me to learn. I saw it through my parents, but I also saw it through myself. And so I want them to live the life that's more abundant, like God has called for us to live. And how great is it for them to know at 5, 7, and 10 already that God is more than able, to know that they can do all things through Christ who strengthens them, instead of being, in their 30s and trying to figure it out and being like, oh, he really does give me the strength to do anything. Like, I want them to realize it now. And so that, I think that is key, is that continuing to be, put God first in their lives and help them to digest God's word. And then finally, I know that some people may not agree, but I feel like getting in a life-giving church and finding a way to not just be at church every Sunday, but to be a part of the church is so key, because my kids love going to church, and that wasn't always the case. Sometimes it was they were upset and annoyed, and we had to have conversations about the reason we were going to church. But they love being at church. And now my 10-year-old, she serves in multiple areas in the church and loves it and is excited about it. And my younger ones are excited for the day that they can serve in areas. And I just think that there is just something about being around faith-filled people, having community that is like-minded, in just the same way that I found that community in business. It's so key to finding that in your faith, finding people that believe and trust in God and will stand in faith when you're going through something really hard. Is just, there's nothing like it. It feels so good to go through life with people. And I know people say that over and over, but like the reason people say do life together is because it's different than just going to church. When you're doing life with people, it's you've got people that you can trust. You've got people that you can talk about the hard stuff with. You have people that can celebrate with you, and it's just the best feeling.
Yeah, that's beautifully said, and I 100% agree. And so, what advice would you have for business owners starting a business?
Oh man, it's so scary taking that first step. And I just want to say that that's going to be a repeating factor. That's something you're going to come back to that throughout your business, because that first step, it feels scary. But I have a friend, her name is Mandy Briggs, and she talks about turtle steps. And I love that she says turtle steps, because they're even smaller than baby steps. But when you think about your goals, they seem so far out. And you're like, I want to have $1 million in revenue by the time I'm 40 or by the time I'm 50. And that sounds like so crazy and so audacious. But then when you're like, what are the turtle steps? Turtle steps is to have a $10,000 year. The turtle step is having $100,000 year, and okay, what is it that I'm doing to create that $10,000 year? Okay, I'm selling this. Okay, I'm posting this. And you realize when you start working towards those little turtle steps, you end up getting closer and closer to that big audacious goal. And it doesn't seem as audacious anymore because you're taking tiny steps. You're like, I can post on social media today. I can send this email today. I can hire this person today, and so when you start taking it in incremental steps, man, it changes everything and helps you to realize that your goal isn't that audacious and people are doing it all around you. The other thing is I say, find mentors, find peers that are doing what you want to do. I feel like the reason I can dream and think that those dreams aren't just dreams, that they're goals that I'm actually going to attain, is because I've surrounded myself with people that are having $100,000 years, $500,000 years, that they are where I want to go. And so I can see them and see their path and see what can I learn from them? What mistakes that they make that I can, skip past. And so having that community and having people around you that are going where you want to go, there, that is a key. And then I think the other thing is sometimes you have to eliminate the voices that aren't aligned with your goals. And that's sometimes hard because sometimes parents don't understand or friends don't understand. And you don't have to get rid of them all together. But maybe it's just like, the story of Joseph, where you don't tell your dreams to everyone. You only tell your dreams to people that really get it, because the last thing you want is to start feeling imposter syndrome around your friends and family. The last thing you want to do is give up on those goals because you told the wrong person and they just, poured water all over that flame that you had and the excitement that you had. So I think that it's so key for you just to surround yourself with people that know where they're going and are going where you want to go.
Yeah, that's important because you can tell people you're excited and, your dreams, but then if you tell the wrong people, you find yourself discouraged more than
absolutely
and encouraged about what you're doing. And that's even just with whatever next steps you're taking in business or starting something. You just have to find and know who the right people are,
absolutely,
who will be able to give you wisdom and encourage you, because you want the wisdom and you want to make wise decisions, and you do want to know whether you're doing something that is beneficial, especially if you're telling people about your dreams in hopes of, hearing something positive. You want to hear that wisdom, and so you have to pick and choose who you're telling things to. Are they mentors? Are they encouragers? Yeah. Who are they? And who are those people in your life that you have to rely on? And I love your saying, bold, audacious steps.
Yes.
Because you need that boldness to continue in your business. You need that boldness to keep up that confidence, to avoid that imposter syndrome, and boldness to continue in the journey. And turtle steps, that's a lovely way of thinking it.
Yes.
It's like even smaller than baby steps, but that's so true, because sometimes all we can take is that tiny, tiny step, but at least we're taking that tiny step.
It's so true.
Which is going to lead us to the next one.
Yep.
But
and
at
even
least
though it's
we're
slow,
doing something.
it's going to get you there eventually. So you just keep going.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny because even with my patients, I keep telling them it's just one step at a time, because, the recovery is also one step at a time, but it's never going to be fast. It's not going to be like an instant transformation. It's going to be one step at a time.
Right.
So what has been the biggest impact in your journey and business that has made your business a reality?
I think the biggest thing is understanding when to pivot. And I think of companies and stores that close down and immediately they're like, it's because of the internet. The internet is the reason that we're having to shut down all of our stores. But I
Mm-hmm.
realized like if those stores had really embraced the internet and online shopping that people love, and then also made it a great experience for the people that love to shop in stores, they would have
Mm-hmm.
two customer bases that would
Mm-hmm.
allow for their store to thrive. That online
Mm-hmm.
shopping
Mm-hmm.
would supplement people that weren't shopping in stores. And I'm saying that I don't
Mm-hmm.
know a lot about retail, but that is the way that I have
Right.
always seen it. And so for me,
Mm-hmm.
I've always thought, what is my online? What is my online shopping? What's the thing that I'm always like looking at and thinking, um, you know, this is this is the reason social media is awful. And so I think of like,
Mm-hmm.
what's the lie? The lie is that social media is fake. The lie is that people don't need social media. The lie is that no one can afford my services, or no one's paying, everyone's getting rid of their marketing budget. And if I buy into
Mm-hmm.
that lie or that thought, instead
Mm-hmm.
of really researching it, finding out if it's true, or finding
Mm-hmm.
out how I can be that solution to a problem that's out there. I think that that's what allows me to grow and to thrive and to continue to see success in my business. And so pivoting is like sometimes realizing, okay, the lies is actually the truth. There's some truth behind it. So maybe I need to
Mm-hmm.
broaden my audience. I've niched down too much a little bit, or I'm seeing clients all the time that this is kind of one of the reasons why I changed my
Mm-hmm.
niche from authors and publishers. Is I was having all these conversations with business owners and entrepreneurs. They were like, man, I just need you for my business. Oh, you man, I just need you
Mm-hmm.
to do this. And I was like, man, yeah, you do. And then I
Mm-hmm.
still continue to only work with authors and publishers. And so expanding
Mm-hmm.
that, I realized I was talking to um,
Mm-hmm.
potential clients every single day. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think that we as business owners, and I think just in life, you have to be aware of what do you think is the obstacle or the challenge in finding a
Mm-hmm.
way around it. And so I think that really
Yeah.
has been a big key in my business. And
Mm-hmm.
then I will shout
Mm-hmm.
this from the rooftop. I've said it a number of times, but finding people that
Mm-hmm.
really surrounding yourself with a business community like you would a faith
Mm-hmm.
community or a family community, it
Mm-hmm.
is just really key, and it's a game changer in your business.
Yeah, that's important. And I really like that idea of writing things down that you may think are negative or obstacles, and then finding ways to make it into a problem that you can solve.
Absolutely.
Right? That business is all about solving problems,
Mm-hmm.
right? Solving a problem for someone else that can benefit from that solution that you have for them, right? And so, in a way, you're kind of doing that for yourself so
Absolutely.
that you can grow your business and, become a little better. So, I like that. That's a really cool thing. And something that we can all look into a little bit too, actually, just like seeing what are we thinking is a problem? How do we solve it? What is that? Is it really a problem?
Yes.
I like that. And so, what is one thing you see that holds people back from taking the first step in building their dreams?
That imposter syndrome, insecurity,
Mm-hmm.
listening to the wrong voices, listening to
Mm-hmm.
negative self-talk. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's so many obstacles, there's so many challenges, there's so many obvious things that are negative deterrents, and the people that
Mm-hmm.
succeed completely ignore them. And the people that succeed look at the face of a stack of problems and step right over it and create a solution. And I think that if you can ignore the people that don't get it, because the thing is
Mm-hmm.
that a lot of times it's not that people are not supporting you or are being
Mm-hmm.
rude. It's that they don't understand it.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have the perspective. They don't have the
Mm-hmm.
gift that you have.
Mm-hmm.
Even like when I first quit my job, I remember and left news. My mom and dad were like, "You were on TV. Like, why would you want to
Yeah.
leave news?" And I just knew that
Yeah.
it wasn't something that was for me at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And they just were like, that's your dream job, right? That's when you've arrived.
Yeah.
And for me, I got
Yeah.
there and realized it wasn't my dream job. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and not saying anything to the people that is their dream job, but for me,
Mm-hmm.
that was uh, I had to keep pursuing. And if I had listened to them, I'd be sitting in a job trying to make it a dream job when it wasn't
Mm-hmm.
mine, and it wasn't a
Yeah.
great fit for me. And I think that so many
Mm-hmm.
people are listening to the wrong voices or listening to people that just don't get it,
Mm-hmm.
and instead of kind of being able to prove that they're wrong, prove that this is where I'm supposed to be going, because you know in your heart of hearts that you're supposed to be going in a different direction. You're supposed to be going down
Mm-hmm.
that road less traveled. And so I think
Mm-hmm.
that uh, listening to the Holy Spirit, listening to your,
Mm-hmm.
you know, the people around you that really do have a good head of understanding, have wisdom. I think that that is really key. But also, just sometimes you know in your heart that this isn't right, and you shift anyways,
Mm-hmm.
and you'll see that answer, you know, eventually.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that being able to take the step and not necessarily seeing that there's a clear path, but just knowing I'm headed in the right direction is really the key to being able to pursue your dreams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because sometimes, it's not that our dreams change as such, but it adapts to our life
Oh,
circumstances that may
absolutely.
change, right? And so that's what shifts in our purpose, shifts in our desires and our passions, right? And so, and that's very true because sometimes people think we're stepping away from the most best thing that's ever happened to us, but it may just not be right for us at that time anymore. And our life circumstances shift and change, and our passions and um, desires may change based on different circumstances in our life too. But not necessarily the end goal of whatever our dream was. But yeah, that's interesting and very true. Um, how would you encourage others? Just last words of how you, any words of encouragement and for others out there balancing motherhood, work, dreams, and life. And
Um, I would just say to um, journaling, writing things down
mm-hmm,
is so key. Finding help where you can. Um, I know for me, I would set goals. Like right now, my goal is I would like someone to help me clean my house, because as I'm pouring into my business, that's something I need. That's now something that
mm-hmm,
I don't have as much time for, and
mm-hmm,
that for me is how is helping me and my
mm-hmm,
business and me as a mother. Um,
mm-hmm,
and sometimes we think, oh, I need to have an assistant, or I need to hire someone to do my social media, or I need to hire someone um, full time. And other times, sometimes it's like I just need to hire a meal kit service. That would help me. Or
mm-hmm,
I need to um, hire someone to pick up my kids after school, or whatever it is. Finding the thing that helps you, that aids you, doesn't always look like you think it is, but like lay
mm-hmm,
out what it is that you have to do, and start writing down those things that are like, that you don't really enjoy. Like at least the thing at the end of the day that you're like, if I could put laundry off as long as I could, I would. And then they have doorstep.
Don't we all?
Yes, exactly. But then I found out they have doorstep laundry service, and I'm like,
Oh, wow.
hello, let's sign me up all day, because that is something that takes away stress from my life. And
Mm-hmm.
so,
Yeah.
um, I think that those may sound like silly, but those are things that help
Mm-hmm.
you to be a better business
Mm-hmm.
owner, or business,
Mm-hmm.
or leader, or
Mm-hmm.
and a parent. And so
Mm-hmm.
finding those things that supplement your life is so
Mm-hmm.
key. So I just say
Yeah.
continue to find those things. Like I said, today I met with someone that is helped with my admin work for 3 hours, and that was a game
Mm-hmm.
changer for me. I mean, I feel
Mm-hmm.
so much lighter knowing that all that like extra stuff is off my plate. Having a
Yeah.
bookkeeper, because I'm not great at
Mm-hmm.
math, I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to have to report to the IRS that I messed up,
Yeah.
because I will mess up. So go ahead and put that in someone else's hands. Just finding
Yeah.
things that are going to
That's
help you make
important.
your life easier.
Mm-hmm.
I always think of the scripture with, uh, Aaron and her that were holding Moses's
Mm-hmm.
arms up. And I just love that
Yeah.
idea of like, how can someone hold my
Mm-hmm.
arms up a little bit more today?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a lot on our shoulders. There's a lot that we're
Mm-hmm.
carrying. So find the
Mm-hmm.
systems that help your life be, get
Mm-hmm.
easier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I like how you said about journaling and writing things down, because I found also just in my own life is when I journal or when I write things down, it you can see with clarity what you're wanting, what's
Mm-hmm.
going on with your life, and kind of see like what's good, what's bad, and what needs to be adjusted
Yes, absolutely.
when you actually write things down or, really speak it out and have it, you know, visible, Otherwise, you just keep going on and on about your business, and then you just, never really know what you really need to shift, change, and do. And so that's one thing that has definitely helped for me too, is writing things down,
Yeah,
journaling, and keeping, um, those visions, or,
absolutely.
understanding what's important or not.
And it's so cool to be able to look back and realize
Mm-hmm.
like I was really struggling and insecure in this a year or two ago. And now I'm
Mm-hmm.
so confident in it. Or,
Mm-hmm.
I invested in this in my business, and look how it's paying off 2 years later. So I think that
Mm-hmm.
having that record of it is really just
Yeah.
an amazing feeling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Seeing the growth,
Mm-hmm.
seeing the change, and
Absolutely.
seeing God's goodness. Yeah. And so thank you so much, Danielle. I'll be putting all her links to contact Danielle in the podcast episode when it airs. And I hope that you connect with Danielle. She has a lot of insight and wisdom for those who need to find their voice, their authenticity, and leave their imposter syndrome. And so I hope that you will continue to spark hope, find the way to take those bold, audacious steps, and continue to shine that light in your community, in your family, through your businesses. And I hope that you enjoyed this episode. Thank you so much for listening. Hope to see you next time. Thank you. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Medicine, Motherhood, and Missions. We hope you found inspiration, insight, and a sense of connection in the stories we shared today. If you've enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe and follow us, leave a review. Your feedback helps us improve and reach more listeners like you. Follow us on Instagram and all the socials. We'd love for you to join a community of like-minded individuals passionate about making a difference through medicine, motherhood, and mission work. Remember, whether you're balancing the demands of a medical career, navigating the joys and challenges of parenthood, or dedicating yourself to a cause greater than yourself, you're not alone. We're here to support you, celebrate, and inspire one another on this incredible journey. Until next time, keep healing, keep nurturing, and keep sparking hope. This is Johanna signing off from Medicine, Motherhood, and Missions.